Hi, my name's Satellites, and today I'm going to be going over some Reaper gameplay. This is actually very good Reaper gameplay. I'm actually very impressed with how well I did overall in this game. It showcases a lot of good Reaper positioning, as well as proper target focus and how to really put in the work as Reaper, getting those solid team wipes on your own, essentially. Now, when playing Reaper, especially on Anubis, being a perfect map for this actually, you want to look for a really strong flanking position, stuff where the team can't really see you come in from. So here I take this upper window as a flank. Because I've taken some chip damage walking into the left room there, I do have to take a little bit of time and go for the left health back, but it gave me the time to allow my teleport to come up. Now here's the positioning I'm talking from. I'm above and behind them so I can see what they have. Now, here I end up dropping into them, killing their Zenyatta, followed by their Orisa, followed shortly by their Roadhog, and then cleaning up the kill onto their Junkrat. Now, I'll go over that fight quickly in just a second here, but that is exactly what I'm talking about in good Reaper positioning and knowing how to dish out the damage and really clean up the fights on your own. So, back to the last fight and going over that. Here we are on that high ground. Now, our Rhine just got picked. However, just as I get to the position, Hog ends up picking their main healer, which is very important here. So, just shortly after that, our Widow up on the high ground picks Hanzo, who would have been my primary target engaging here. Because of that, I can safely drop in and clean up everyone here because their entire intention is not focused on me. So here I try to go for the secondary healer, which is a Zenyatta first, followed by the Discord target, which is Orisa. So I end up cleaning up her. Hog is already pushed in. I clean him up. Now it's just Junkrat, which our Widow was dealing with. That has secured that point. So, very clean team fight, very quick, concise, and how it should be. That's what you want to do, is get in, get out, conclude the fight quickly. That's the job as Reaper. Now, normally when you're running Reaper, you want to run a more stable comp, a slower comp. Allow the time for Reaper to get in position, so when your team gets the chance to push in, you can drop onto the other team and collapse in on them. So, going into this fight, I take this high ground position again. My team goes in, and then I drop in. Now, it should have been the other way around, but it doesn't really matter because you'll see why in a second. But here I end up getting the pick on the wrist and then ulting shortly after to clean up another two people, which is their main healer and their main DPS. I get rezzed. Hog ends up picking up our Widow, and our Widow picks up their Hog. So now, even though Zen tranced, there's no one for him to trance and keep alive. It's essentially him stalling the point. We clean up him very quickly, and now it's a matter of cleaning up anyone that tries to touch the point. Finish off D.Va quite quickly. Rhinehouse gets an amazing pin off on Anna, and Tracer goes for the touch, gets bursted quite quickly. So, very short team fights, very quick, concise team fights is what you're looking for. You want to end the fights as fast as possible and have the best positioning possible. Now, on this defense side, unfortunately, I try to play the flank too much, ends up costing us the first point, and due to a few little errors in terms of not proper communication, is why we didn't full hold them on this point. It's pretty important to communicate with your team on Reaper because, like I said earlier, you want to be in the position to drop onto their back line or drop into their team and have your team collapse and meet you in the middle. So that way you can separate their healers from their front line and your team can push into them. When that happens, there's a lot of focus they have to turn on to you. And because the way Wraith Form works, it gives you invulnerability, you can exploit that time frame in which you're allowed to be in their backline, dealing a ton of damage. So here is where I talk about that mispositioning. Now, I take this high ground, and I figure that if I can hold this spot when they go to do what we did and push into that left room, the left choke, I can collapse on whoever takes the most amount of time to get in through the door and drop on them and slowly work my way through. And then if I get too much damage dealt onto me, I can wraith back to my team. And that's kind of what you want to do on defense, is just you want to be on a flank, but not too far away from your team where they can't back you up. So here our Widow gets picked. Mercy goes to the res, successfully gets the res off. Now we're without a res, which is kind of important here. So here I'm looking. I haven't exactly played with my team. They've walked in completely completely. Now I see Widow shooting from the ground, and that's what I drop and go look for her. Unfortunately, she goes up, and I make sure she can't see me, but by this point, we've already lost the fight. We've down 3 people, and now 4. So unfortunately, I was a little too late on that, and that's what I was talking about with that being too far off on the flank and not being able to reconnect with the team. And as a result, I effectively threw that first point. So that's something to be aware of and be mindful of when playing Reaper, is always keep in mind where your team is. That's what you should be, is where am I relative to my team? Because if you can't get back to your team with the full duration of your Wraith form, you've effectively just fed. Even though you get one, they can trade one of your highest DPS, which is yourself, for someone else. Now here I drop in, like I said, and see their healers. I try to get Winston. I do end up getting Ana. I get the McCree shortly after, and then followed up by Mercy because she goes to rotate and try to get out. So I'll rewind that in a second and show exactly why my target focus was who it was. Here, we see Monkey get picked by our Hog. Now, because their D.Va went to push Hog out of the way, she ends up being split off from their Winston. And Winston's discorded. So the moment I see Winston, number one, he's your big squishy target, and he's discorded, that's who you go for. So I immediately drop on a Winston. He jumps away. I'm not going to chase him. I moved quickly to their supports. I go for their Ana shortly after. And I stick on the Ana because she's trying to keep the team up. And her Mercy hasn't turned around to her. If her Mercy had turned on her, then I would have gone for the Mercy instead. So because Mercy hasn't turned her, I stick on the Ana. Next is McCree. Well, and this is because McCree's right in my face. Had he been in Mercy's position parallel to her, I would have chosen the Mercy because you want to get the healers out first. It's really hard to DPS someone down when they're being actively healed. So here I go for their McCree. Takes a little bit of time. I do end up securing the kill. Now I go to Mercy. I see her when I re-peek that she's no longer there. So it's safe to assume that she's moved around on the flank. So now I've caught up with her, end up bursting her down. Now I hear Monkey jump to my left, which is why I end up turning around and securing the kill on the Monkey. Now, D.Va is demeched at this point, or just about to demect, I can't remember. So now it's a matter of staggering D.Va as long as possible. So right now we get the stagger onto the baby D.Va, which is huge because now it takes like an extra 10 seconds for the team to regroup and push into us again. So anytime you can stagger the other team, do it. It's very, very important that you, because any stagger is 10, potentially 15 seconds on the clock, and you can do that every fight over and over. Now, here was an error on my part in terms of the Reaper ult. Here I see Genji go in, and I see our Hog pick their Mercy. So the moment I see this, I pop ult, which I shouldn't have. Because their Genji gets our Tracer, followed shortly by our Zenyatta, I pop ult, and I only secure Mercy and trade myself for that. Genji has effectively cleaned up 3 people. So now the fight is drastically in their favor. So our Mercy gets the res off. We trade our Rhine for it because our Rhine ended up going really deep. So now it's a matter of stalling the point at this point. So due to a few errors overall as a team, we end up throwing the point. Here, I don't know how I didn't get McCree because I was all in his head. Unfortunately, I die immediately and don't actually get the kill onto him, and he kills our Mercy because of that. That was just unlucky RNG, I guess, on my part, because even though I was directly point blank in his head, I didn't get the kill on him. So now we're just trying to stall as long as possible. Use that Wraith form to the fullest, duration you can. Now, normally you would swap to a more stally comp, Mei's, Lucio's, because anything now, with how well they've turned this fight, it's a matter of stalling the clock as long as possible. I get picked off before my Wraith actually comes up, so I couldn't Wraith to stall the point, and we lose because of that. So that was what I was meaning. There's a few mechanical errors, a few positioning errors. So, clean slate, 2-2. Moving on to defense round 2. Bear in mind when playing Reaper, you can take this flanky style. You can take the dive into their backline, but if they're running something like dive, it's not a bad idea to stick with your team either. Now, this is because when their team dives into you, they only can bring so much of their team with you. If you're running Genji Tracer, Genji can only take high ground. Tracer has to fall up to the fight shortly after. Mercy can potentially fly in, but most of the part it's Genji, Winston, D.Va. Otherwise, if you run this flanky Reaper, you have to deal with whoever's left on the low ground, which is normally like a Zenyatta or maybe, you know, an Ana if they for some reason have an Ana, or the Tracer that's not caught up with the team. So it depends on the situation of what to do or what to look for, what the team comps are to decide how you're going to play. Now, at the start of this fight, we do lose our Mercy, which is very important because Mercy being our main healer and our resurrection potential, without her, it's very difficult to win fights. Luckily, and I'll go over this entire fight in a second, there's a lot of, like, my positioning ends up being so important in this fight that we end up winning it regardless, even if we're down our main healer. So here their D.Va dives in. I take a quick chip shot, and then their Genji falls in and their Monkey falls in. So here, their D.Va's not dematrixing. I drop on her. I put a few shots into her. Go back up to the health pack. Their supports have no idea what's going on. They're not even paying attention to me being here. So D.Va ends up getting hooked by Hog and getting pulled in, and I'm free to deal with their supports. So like I said earlier, go for the Mercy first. Their Monkey ends up jumping back and getting pushed into me. So now he's in front of my face. I go straight for him. Ryan is now slept, but D.Va goes out of mech. I can ignore her for now because they have their Ana up. Ana's now the healer. I go for her. So I go for their Ana, focus her down. Baby D.Va's behind me. Hog gets a hook, but I would have killed her otherwise. So essentially another 4K just by having a good position and knowing when to drop. Instead of dropping right away, I held and waited back to see what I see and then engaging when I know it's safe. So we get a stagger onto Genji quite late into the fight. So now they have to, like I said earlier, wait a little bit before they can engage on us again. Any stagger is important. We try to do the same thing. Their Monkey goes in without their D.Va. The D.Va just flies around. I drop in and we get a huge shatter onto their entire team, essentially. So I get free reign over whoever is there. Hog ends up burning ult, but we've secured this fight. And I'm going to go back over this entirely, see exactly what happened. Here is what I'm talking about, where their dive isn't exactly coordinated enough to take advantage of it. So we see D.Va dive in first, and normally that would be Monkey diving in first. Because once Monkey dives in, D.Va follows up with D-Matrix to keep him alive, essentially, while he zaps and then jumps out or jumps further deep. So D.Va goes in and she backs out. Monkey goes in now onto our Reinhardt, which is not your target you want to go for as Monkey anyways. And D.Va drops away. So Ryan is left dealing with Winston. Our Roadhog can deal with whoever's up close. And I drop into the room because I have a health plaque I can play on top of seeing who's left. Now they turn their attention towards me because they know I'm going to try to go for their backline. So now they go for the defense matrix. Our Ryan, though, beautifully positions himself to get a huge shatter off on both their tanks and one of their supports. So here I end up bursting Monkey down. And there's the mechanical thing you can do as Reaper, which you'll see. I'll back this up just for the 5 seconds here for when I drop. I have 6 shots left. Get the shatter 4, 3, 2, and 1. So now I'm out of ammo. Instead of reloading, I quickly Wraith and Unwraith to reload my shotguns. It's way faster than reloading and allows me to clean up this fight very quickly. So here I turn on to Ana. Our Reinhardt swung and got the Mercy. Hog ulted and killed Baby D.Va and Genji as well. Beautifully executed team fight. And that's what it should be. Clean, concise. So here I'm looking. There's their dive. They've now gone in. Now's my chance. The Widow gets hooked, picked. I go straight for this Ana. She's so far away from the team. She gets a good sleep on me. So now it's a matter of waiting for either being woken up, which I do, and trying to DPS D.Va down, which I end up doing. Because that's the last, it's a very bad idea to try to 1v1 a Reaper. Reaper's like some of the strongest DPS in the game. And she got her mech back because she used her bomb. And I end up cleaning up her again. And I'll go over this fight again, because there's a little bit going on off screen. And yeah, So before we go into like the continuation of this fight, I'll back up to here. So I go to fight the Ana. Our Hog had picked the Widow just a second ago by hooking her off high ground. Their D.Va picked her Mercy, so now we're down our main healer. So we can see their Mercy and their Ana playing that room, but now their D.Va split off to me. Their D.Va picked our Rhine, our 76 picked their Genji with Visor. We have Visor up, so their support shouldn't leave that room. Their Mercy ends up trying to chase me and heal their D.Va up, but at this point, their D.Va's already too committed to this fight and can't fly out without losing mech. She burns mech to save herself. Our Hog picks up their Winston, McCree picks up their Ana. This fight is now pretty much in our favor at this point. Now, Mercy's dead, I D-mech D.Va. This fight's now pretty much over. However, now at this point, this fight's been going on for so long that their team is coming back. So now we see they have a Reaper of their own now, because apparently I'm popping off too hard. They have a Monkey, and I see their Ana again. So they have nothing to deal with my ultimate now. So I just use my ultimate to clean up this entire fight. Even though I get flashbanged and their Monkey pops ult, I've put in so much damage at this point, I can just kill Reaper, because Reaper was so low because of my initial ultimate. I turn to see what I can see, get the health pack, go to fight McCree, deal with McCree. A beautiful, beautiful example of when to use your ultimate and cleaning up fights. So effectively there, I killed up, I got D.Va, I got Ana, Monkey popped ult, McCree stunned me, I clean up Reaper, so there's 3 at that point. Get health back, turn, get McCree, that's 4. See Monkey jumps out, I go to chase him. Didn't secure the kill on Monkey and get 5. So almost team killed effectively on my own. It shows how strong Reaper can be even without being meta. Reaper hasn't been meta just because he lacks the speed, but now that his Wraith form got a slight speed buff, he's a lot stronger than he used to be and should be taken advantage of. So here, that's what I'm talking about. This is the angle that I should have been playing and should have like more collapsed. When they come in, I saw the D.Va, but I also heard the footsteps of McCree. So I waited till I heard McCree close enough, dropped on him, killed him immediately, and then went to follow up on where D.Va was. So now I'm just cleaning up fights again, get that Monkey, go straight for Ana again. See where I can find Reaper. I see him low before I go find the Mercy, which he's already cleaned up by a pulse bomb. So there's a lot of staggering going on and a lot of very quick, concise team fights. Exactly how it should be. Now, here's a stagger we get on McCree. I don't know exactly where their McCree was, and I think he was probably high ground. But they're not paying enough attention to me. They're not trying to deal with me. So, luckily McCree doesn't kill me, and the Reaper, even though he ults, I end up picking their main healer again. So, very, very good hold, because unfortunately we do lose the point at this point. Very good hold for first point for a 5-minute hold. When you play Reaper like this, you want to exploit that vision. Because they're not looking for me, they're not trying to actively look at me. Exactly this situation again. I look for the Zen, I see him, see baby D.Va, drop on them, kill them, right? See Mercy trying to res. Fortunately, she gets it off. I don't know how I didn't kill her. Kill McCree again. It's exploiting the lack of communication, exploiting vision. So the stronger your communication as a team, the better Reaper is, and the weaker the communication is as the enemy team, the better Reaper is. So that combined with each other ends up being disgustingly good example of why Reaper is still strong. Now, we've staggered McCree. At this point, it's how long can they stall the point, and if they can even get a proper team fight in. Now it's a matter of hopefully getting something if they have any remaining ults left on the clock. I burn ult just to secure the fight, because at this point it's over, and that sums up that fight. Because we ended up taking that pressure, like that second fight where I dropped on the Zenyatta and baby D.Va, they didn't have a proper time in that 1 minute to take a good fight. So we ended up holding that last point by, getting our staggers, taking it slow. So by taking it slow, is what you want to do. Round 2, I'm going to see if I can get that same flank off as I did last time. Because the way Anubis is designed, it's very vertical in its gameplay. Because of its verticality, Reaper gets a lot of value. It's harder to run Reaper on maps similar to that of King's Row or Rialto, just because without the verticality aspect, Reaper ends up just being another shield buster or a frontline pick, or simply just trying to teleport behind them and hoping they don't notice you. With the verticality aspect, like I said way earlier in the video, if you take the high ground and they don't have a team to contest you, like possibly a Widow or anyone else with the vertical mobility like a Genji, even Genji isn't an optimal counter to you, you have free reign. So here, we don't see anybody, but D.Va drops into me. So D.Va is trying to DPS me as much as possible. She ends up leaving because she can't 1v1 a Reaper. Our Rhine ends up getting picked a lot, and D.Va keeps trying to contest me and keep me off my team as much as possible. Now, I almost lost that fight because in the initial fight, she had damaged me down before getting the health back, and then Tracer ends up helping her secure the kill on me. That wasn't a problem though, because I did see our Rhine and our Mercy get picked at the start of that, and now me and Hog. So essentially that fight was lost anyways. So when a situation like that comes down where you're down 2 people, try to just get a trade. Try to take the trade and die as fast as possible. Just engage on the team, try to trade. Now, we're super staggered at this point. I'm just trying to take a flank position where they can't see me. I don't know how they didn't see me when I just wraith formed in beside them, but luckily for me, I get it. Now, we're waiting and waiting for our teamers that we have 2 just coming out of spawn, and our team's kind of peeking around main. Here, I end up dropping right into Tracer and one-shotting her. Now, unfortunately, their D.Va ends up doing exactly what she's supposed to do, and D-Matrix the Winston, so he takes none of my damage, and he can lay damage into me while she also rockets me. A perfect example of what you should be doing against me. Our Tracer gets a good pick onto their Moira. We lose our Tracer. However, with Reaper's teleport, I'm able to quickly re-enter this fight even though we lost. We're down 1 person at this point, comparatively speaking to their team. So I choose my chance to pop my ult. Now, D.Va's used most of her Matrix, so she can't Matrix the full thing. And as a result, I end up securing 3 kills onto the other team. And our Soldier 76 can clean up the rest, which is just baby D.Va at that point, of the fight on her own. So, knowing when to time the ult is very important. Showcased by almost every ult I've used this game, actually. Keeping track of opponent's skills, like keeping track of the opponent's D-Matrix, keeping track of shields, you know, when they have CC abilities, it's a good thing to keep in mind when ulting as Reaper. So here, no surprise, our Rhine gets picked again, our Mercy gets picked again. So at this point, we are down 1 player. It's going to be hard to re-push in. So now I'm just kind of waiting to see what I can see. Their Zen goes a little too far. And now I'm just trying to get any staggers or picks I can before entering the fight again. So we demech D.Va thanks to a good pick on Mei. And now we've evened the fight out. And they're down their secondary healer, also their Transcendence. So now if I get any ult off, it's free game. So I'm going to back up this fight again and go over exactly why this fight took such a huge turn in our favor. And exactly what happened overall. I hear them team push into me. I don't actually hear the Zenyatta because he doesn't have footsteps, but I hear their monkey shortly behind them. So as soon as I see him, I turn on him and try to kill him. I do get the kill on him, and I see Tracer and McCree behind the monkey. So I see that, I try to back up, and I wraith out because I know I'll lose that. However, our team is dealing with an overextending D.Va, and we demech her and kill her. So now we've evened this fight out. Their Mercy does res their Zen, but we throw in a Blizzard, a well-placed Blizzard here. And because I took this flank, none of their attention is on me, and they don't call me out. So I effectively kill McCree, kill Zenyatta here, although we do end up having Blizzard to secure the last tick of damage on him. Secure the Mercy, thanks to Attack Visor, and now Monkey again, who gets walled off. So now it's just D.Va left on point, and as soon as she gets demeched, I ult. so I can kill her and the Tracer shortly after. That fight over in less than 10 seconds. Very quick, very concise. The motto of Reaper. And that is the Reaper gameplay in a nutshell. Very good positioning, very good team wipes, very clean and concise.